Okay. All right. Okay.
I'm not worried.
Oh, Billy, you ready to start? Sorry.
He's waiting for you to stop talking. So. Okay.
Well, you know, I can't see.
I'd like to call the committee meeting to order, and with a courtesy of the floor. And anybody have courtesy of the floor? Okay. First up is a presentation of the City Revitalization Block Grant, City of Easton. Oh, he's got it.
So I just wanted to set this up real quick for you. This proposal would be funded with table games money that was set aside in the budget for the City of Easton last year. Okay. And this is Dave Hopkins, the Director of Public Works for the City of Easton. You just need to, I think, hit the space bar.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for having me tonight and being able to ask for the city's CRBG allocation. Just a little background. As you all know, the Silk Mill has been a large revitalization project for the city. And, you know, we've been kind of planning from the Arch Trail Silk Mill area on several other large projects, but we'd like to button that project up first. There's some pedestrian improvements that need to be made in the area. And so I just kind of wanted to go through what this project would really involve. There's no real great way to accommodate PEDs on 13th Street currently, especially down from the College Hill area. There's not even a crosswalk at the bottom to get people to the Silk Mill, and vice versa from the interchange down to the mill and the Arch Trail trailhead. So what we're going to do is some pedestrian signalization, highly visible crosswalks, ADA ramps, new sidewalk and curbing, and a few other improvements, which I'll show you. So this is a picture of the intersection as it is right now. This is 13th Lafayette and Bushkill. The crossing of Bushkill Drive currently doesn't even have a crosswalk, and it's not accessible by wheelchair-bound persons. There's another angle, and that is the exact location where we would intend to make improvements across the street by the signal mast, install an ADA facility with a pedestrian signal, and highly visible crossing to the other side of the street where there'd be another ADA ramp. That's really, it's tough to see, but that's really the kind of the rough plan to get people around the corner to the signal and then to the ADA facilities to get them on the sidewalk to the mill. This is kind of another aspect. It's not really related to the project, but we're also installing a second lane on Lafayette Street. This was part of the off-site improvements for the mill. Right now, if a car is at the bottom of the hill, it'll queue traffic all the way back up the hill. So we're going to put in a through lane so that you can get down to Bushkill Drive a lot easier. Should be a lot safer from a queuing standpoint. And that's really what it'll look like from a turning movement. You'll see two lanes of traffic, one that can go down and left at the intersection, and the other that can go straight onto Bushkill Drive. So the project scope will really be the replacement of deteriorated sidewalks as well as relocating the utility poles. If you're familiar with the Silk Mill, it's pretty polluted in the sidewalk area with a lot of med ed facilities. They haven't been really maintained. There's site distance issues, and they do take up a good deal of the sidewalk area. So we would plan to move those to the other side of the road, and med ed would be doing that work. Here's a view from the Arch Trail trailhead looking north towards 13th Street. And so, you know, we kind of want to accommodate people at the trailhead getting to the mill. And this is the current condition of the sidewalk along 13th Street. You can see the utility poles in the picture, and also the deteriorated condition of the sidewalk area. And that would not be accessible for a wheelchair-bound person either. Kind of the same type of photo there. And there's a picture looking south toward the interchange. You can see that sidewalk has been improved, and one of the things I'll talk about is how we're going to tie this project in and leverage it with what PennDOT is intending to do this summer there. And there's a picture of the Arch trailhead coming out into the project area, and that's a picture looking across the street. you may be aware that the Rockwood Pigments facility is no longer in operation, but there is a great opportunity for the regional trail system to connect that with Lower Hackett Park. Forks Township actually has a sewer easement located through the plant. It's permanently deeded. So we've met with the broker for the property to make sure that that is at least on the front burner for us to make this connection from the Arch Trail across the street. That is Rockwood Pigments property, even though it's occupied by the Water Rescue. So that's kind of a large effort for us, is to try and connect. That's the last remaining trail gap in the regional system through the townships and the city. Here's what the funding looks like. So the $50,000 CRBG request is what we need to really close the gap on the funding we need. We received a grant through the Commonwealth Finance Authority for $128,000. The city has already paid for the design of the project, and the developer who owns the silk mill is contributing all of the match in the amount of $81,000, and the total project cost here is about $275,000. One of the things that I think is attractive about this is that it integrates well with two high-priority city projects. 13th Street Interchange, you may have heard, the city had proposed a pretty large-scale $55 million revamp. PennDOT did not have the appetite to redo the interchange, even though it's probably one of the oldest remaining interchanges from the original construction of Route 22, circa 1955 or so. So even though they didn't have the appetite for that, we petitioned them that, you know, they really do need to do something, and there's also some safety issues at the top of the ramp where traffic backs onto 22. So PennDOT was very cooperative, agreed to work with the city, and they'll be doing a $4 million revamp of the interchange this summer. They're gonna work on the safety issue at the top of the ramp, as well as really do an aesthetic upgrade to the whole interchange, which will include new concrete islands, new traffic signals. Right now, and this is kind of how, like, the top arrow really points to the limits of the project we're proposing, but the two other projects, one is the interchange, would be the second arrow, and the third arrow is Wood Avenue, which I'll talk about in a second. So PennDOT allocated $4 million for the interchange upgrades. They're fairly comprehensive. They'll include new islands, new signals, new paving, new guide rail, some configuration changes at the top of the stop condition coming off the sidewalk, and new sidewalks. One of the things there's a picture of the interchange. One of the things that's noticeable about it from an aesthetic standpoint is there's no signal mast. They use span wire there, so the signals are always shaking and blowing around. And again, they haven't been changed out in decades. PennDOT's really done nothing at the interchange for years. So this will be a much welcomed improvement to the neighborhood. All the concrete islands are deteriorated, so it's in need of upgrades. There's another picture showing, there's not even curbing left on the island. And there's another one showing Wood Avenue traveling west. And so for Wood Avenue, which was the bottom arrow, and Wood Avenue is it's a direct connection to the interchange and our project area. The city received about $1.5 million in grant funding through PennDOT to redo all of Wood Avenue, connecting it from the silk mill to the city's business district at 7th Street. We don't really have a design in place for that project yet. Right now we're out we have an RFP out for some feasibility analysis to see what we can and can't do along the roadway, whether it becomes a boulevard, largely aesthetic improvements. If you've ever traveled into the city from Wood Avenue, it kind of veers you off at the end onto an alley, which is kind of anticlimactic when you're entering a business district. And that's one of the things we'd like to look at from a traffic standpoint. Really make this gateway pop and make it a really nice entrance into the city. And this is the current condition of Wood Avenue. Again, we took this back from PennDOT a couple of years ago, which is how we got seed money to apply for our grant through the CFA. And I guess they were happy to give it to us because no work's been done on it since the 50s. And it just, the road, the base condition isn't terrible, but that'll be handled before the improvement project. And that's really the story of our ask.
Go ahead if you have a question. I had one too.
First of all, thank you all the work you do. I know you work with you personally, and I appreciate that on behalf of representatives of people from Easton. I want to thank you for what you do. The signage that we're going to, is signage part of this program or not?
There is signage. It'll be the standard pedestrian signage. Signage is not something there's a whole lot of leeway with because, you know, PennDOT adopted the federal MUTCD, which is the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, and it basically specifies everything you can do along a public road. So there isn't going to be any custom signage associated with the project. It's really mostly a pedestrian-based construction project.
Yeah, I was just curious, is there a certain amount of pedestrian traffic that made you qualify for the grants and all? Or, I mean, I know, you know, you fill in most of the.
I think the fact that the silk mill is being built out with very little advertising, and they have waiting lists to get in.
That's what I was getting. Okay.
So when they're built out, but they're in their last phase this year, and I believe ultimately it'll be about I forget how many residential units, 20 commercial businesses, and with the pending sale of the pigment plant across the street, the ability to connect that trail through that property, and some other plans around the area, the arts trails become, you know, immensely more popular, and we're really trying to get people from the West Ward neighborhood down to that area. You know, there's very little recreation in that neighborhood, and so the arts trail, you know, we're trying to make that serve as an outlet for that.
It's great work. Really excited about it.
Thank you.
I have a question, Bill.
Go ahead.
Along with the traffic, this is an older picture, this project map. This is way before you developed or improved anything, right? Because it doesn't reflect anything. My question is, you know, having worked on College Hill for years and years, why a handicap ramp at West Lafayette and Bushkill? Where are the people coming from, and where are they going to go to when they get to that handicap access?
That was actually a PennDOT requirement.
It's a PennDOT requirement to put a handicap access on a place that has no sidewalk anywhere for anybody to get to it anywhere.
It is.
They could luge down West Lafayette Street and fly across the handicap zone.
That triggers the money, though.
It's a great question, and I'm sure you've seen at other intersections where there's a ramp and grass.
Well, yeah, it drives me nuts. It's all through Bethlehem, all at Makeda Road and everywhere. There's not a sidewalk to be found, or anywhere in Bethlehem Township where they don't have sidewalks. They have ramps everywhere. But, like, back to Bill's pedestrian traffic, where are these people walking from on these sidewalks? Where are they coming from to go to this silk mill?
Well, hopefully from the Westward neighborhood and the College Hill neighborhood.
Because I understand the Westward neighborhood up where the intersection is and all that, but
Right.
coming down Lafayette, Bushkill, and all there, I mean, going to get killed walking on those roads to get there.
Well, Lafayette's a wide street, and there is a lot of people that walk there from the YMCA, and I think that actually when PennDOT field scoped, you know, the other parts of the projects we're doing out there, I think that's one thing that they noticed is people walking down West Lafayette from the Y to get to the area.
I just can't see the foot volume of traffic. And my last question is in the silk mill, since it was designed, and I don't know if it's a private, I know the city of Easton's been behind it, and, you know, I like the project, regardless of who's doing the work, but why didn't they incorporate the sidewalks and everything in the front of it as part of the project? The $80 million they spent, now you're coming here for money for sidewalks.
Well, I think part of the problem was MedEd not being willing until recently to consider relocating their facilities. It's been kind of a battle, and for the city, it's not so much an issue with us partnering with the private developer as much as it is building a major gateway. You know, properties on Bushkill Drive have been. You know, I'm expecting that corridor to be a lot busier than it is today. It's a good question, but, you know, Lafayette's been expanding, and I think it's another avenue for students to travel into that area.
You know, if you go up West Lafayette, it takes a mile to get to any real discernible development of homes and all. There's one or two on the right-hand side. If you go down Bushkill, you go down, you pass Dieter Brothers Fuel Company, you pass a junkyard. There's nothing down there except for a car dealership, foreign cars. I mean, where are the people coming from? You expect them to walk from Lafayette College down Bushkill to come to this site?
Well, I'm expecting that the Bushkill corridor in the next 10 years is going to be the next, redevelopment, huge redevelopment.
I thought it was a
focus.
flood zone.
It is not.
It is not?
The floodplain runs about 20 feet in from the Bushkill Creek.
Mm-hmm.
But even this, like if you look at the scrapyard property, there's 4.5 acres of flat land, very little of which is
Right.
in the floodplain. And I would anticipate that will probably not remain a vacant scrapyard forever.
So maybe if a developer comes in, you'll have them provide sidewalk all the way up to West Lafayette Street or something, as a contingency for them building homes or something there?
I couldn't speculate on what would happen there, but green space is a priority for the city, and the city does have a bridge currently that connects to that side of the creek. So I think it's ripe for green space, park area, and the fact that the college now owns most of the buildings on the north side of the street, leading out to getting closer to the silk mill.
Right, and you're asking from us is 50,000,
Yes,
and the city of Easton's only putting 15,000 in?
that's correct. Well, we applied for the grant, so we're actually putting 128 plus 15.
Well, the 128 is coming from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
It is.
Easton's got 15 grand in it.
We do.
So, okay, thank you.
The 50,000 though is coming from gaming grant too, is that correct?
It's table games, I
Table
believe they
games,
said.
okay.
Yeah, thank you for coming. I think this is a good project. I just wanted to follow up on the pigment plant that you had mentioned. Has it been sold, and if so, to who? And will that impact this project in any way, or what's the future portend for that property?
My understanding, we sat down with the broker for the company that purchased it is Albemarle, and they had planned to just close it and divest from it. So they'll dispose of the real estate. I think they have plans to try and knock down a good portion of the buildings that front the road, maybe make it look more attractive to a buyer. So I'm really not sure. Our main focus is to try and get that trail connection through the property, which in initial discussions they were very open to. I mean, right now it's a dedicated easement, and it's really just a matter of changing that from a sewer easement to a shared use trail easement. And in some ways, I think they think it could be valuable for a buyer. Even if it was a commercial or industrial park, the employees could get out, walk. I think there's an attractive element there. I don't think it would impact what we're proposing in any way. I think, if anything, it's going to just increase pedestrian traffic in the area.
Yeah, and that was my next question. Is that redeveloping that is going to be quite difficult, given what has been there. Do you believe it might need to be incentivized, or have you worked with the new owner to try to market it?
My understanding is that most of the occupants, because Rockwood's remained the owner, but they've had lease agreements with Venator and some other Huntsman. They've done a decent amount of environmental there, and iron oxide is what they produce, and it's non-toxic. So it looks bad. Everything is red, but I'm not sure how much
They
environmental.
produce rust.
It's
That's what they make.
it is. That's essentially what it is.
I guess, and then I'll
Coolest
just
thing in the world.
finish up. My overall concern is that we're investing money,
meeting.
and then what's happening next to it, you may see something that impacts it from a deterioration standpoint. So I'm hopeful that if we do this, that you're diligent with working with either our economic development department or your own to try to get that property turned around.
Yeah, I mean, there is a buffer. The Mineral Technologies is the company that actually fronts 13th Street. Years ago, when it was Pfizer subdivided the property at where the creek flows through it. So Mineral Technologies remains a viable business. It's really just the property to the west of the creek and it's 105 acres. I mean, it's a sizable property.
Anybody else have any questions?
No, Mr. McGee.
No? Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for the
Hopkins. Thank you very
opportunity.
much. Next up, we have a presentation by Nurture Nature Center.
director of Buy Fresh, Buy Local of the Greater Lehigh Valley, and we're a program of the Nurture Nature Center out in Easton. So Buy Fresh, Buy Local is a national organization. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of it, maybe in some of our hotel tax grant applications. But the goal of the organization on the national scale is to create localized branding for farms and foods. So our coverage area is Northampton, Lehigh, and kind of like that Route 100 corridor of Berks County. We work with more than 100 different farms, restaurants, institutions, anyone sourcing local food. And that includes our 14 producer-only farmers markets in the Lehigh Valley. So our hotel tax grant application last year, in part, funded a baseline data collection study to look at who's shopping at the markets, what are people buying at the markets, kind of trying to get this idea of the market character. Across the nation, there has been a trend at farmers markets that sales are decreasing or stagnating. There's a lot of reasons for this, of course, and I'd been kind of hearing it from local farmers, but nobody knew anything. No data had ever been collected. So I really thought that this was a timely project to do and to really establish that baseline to see where we're at and where we need to go to grow the markets. So in Northampton County, hopefully you've all been to at least one of these markets. There's 8 producer-only markets. That means that the people selling at them are producing the goods themselves. They're either growing it or baking it or making it somehow. The markets are operating every day of the week except for Monday. So there's really a nice kind of coverage of the markets. People can find one in their neighborhood pretty much any day of the week, or within the county any day of the week. So I just want to do a little bit of the survey methodology that we used, and then I'll talk a little bit about the data. You have some other data points on the handout that I gave you that you can take a look at. But we used a technique called rapid market assessment. This was developed by Oregon Extension to do exactly what we're trying to do, get the idea of who's shopping at the market, what are they doing, what are they spending. So one of the techniques they use are dot surveys. These are just essentially large flip charts. We give people a stack of stickers, have 4 questions, and ask them to answer with a sticker on their corresponding answer. So we ask people how often do they come to the market, what did they primarily come to the market for, how much were they planning on spending, and whether they were planning on doing any additional spending in the downtown areas. And we also color-coded it to track by hour to see whether there were any trends over the course of the market on how people were spending money either in the community or at the market itself. So we had more than half of the survey respondents saying that they were coming to the market regularly, so at least a couple times a month. Some a quarter said they come every week, which this year with the rain, I don't know. Significantly, I think the first-time market visitors at 14%. This number I actually think is probably much higher. Based on the recommended questioning that we did from the RMA, we didn't have a separate category for first-time visitors. It wasn't until after we were at Easton and Saucon Valley, which are arguably the 2 largest markets in the county, that we realized we really need to have this number, or this as an answerable category. So that's the low ball figured, but I still think it's significant that, close to 15%, maybe even closer to 20% of people are coming for the first time. For how much people spent at the market today, the $0 to $10 kind of cohort, I think, really shows people eating lunch at a market, especially on the college campus markets. A lot of people go for lunch, or people who are just buying fruits and vegetables. So this year, as we're trying to enact different strategies at the markets to change these numbers, we're looking at ways that we can kind of cross-promote other value-added products at the markets. And the goal will be, when we do this survey in July and August of this year, we'll kind of see those numbers shift. The amount of the food dollar that's being spent on local food is low. Traditionally, people use the 2% of food dollars go to local foods. So through this project. We're really looking to change that here in Northampton County. Oh, and I want to mention too, that we used this information as well to kind of come up with a rough economic figure that's also on the handout. So we broke out the customer counts based on these percentages and just took the midpoint of the dollar amount being spent. So we said that 30% of people spent $5 at the market. We used that to come up with the figure, the $2.2 million being spent at the market over the course of a 20-week season. So even that number is likely higher because some markets go longer than 20 weeks. Also, some people who are spending over $30 are spending way more than $35. You know, they're buying their meats, they're buying other value-added items. So again, probably a lowball figure, but it was my best estimate using this set of data. We also asked if people were spending money in the downtown areas. Of course, we only asked that at markets in downtown areas. Again, first time using this surveying technique. The way we had asked the question, we had asked, are you shopping downtown today, yes or no? And then we asked them to fill in the dollar amount they estimated they would spend downtown. So people said yes and didn't put the dollar amount. They put the dollar amount and didn't say yes. So I completely ignored the yes or no and just counted the people who put the dollar amount. And of those people, it was about 50% of the market shoppers who were also spending money downtown that day. This is where I thought it was interesting. In the second hour of the market was when most people were going to do some downtown shopping as well. So I look at that as saying, you know, this is a great opportunity for farmers markets to reach out to the local businesses, to cross-promote and do promotions of getting people out in that second hour. Just understanding how people are kind of moving through the different areas as they're coming out to shop at the market. We also did some demographic surveying. We didn't do any paper surveys. This was me with a clipboard saying, can I ask you a couple questions? We got a really high response rate. We had about, I think it was about 700 or so respondents to the demographic surveying. We asked them their age, their gender, how many people lived in their household, how many children in their household, and their zip code. So you have some more of this information on the handout, but I just wanted to go over just a couple of the graphs with you. So I really love this age distribution graph. I thought everything looked pretty even. This really does correspond nicely with the sort of demographic census information from the county. I'd say the only outlier is the 40-year-old group, which I think really explains why there are not a whole lot of people at the market shopping with children, which was surprising to everybody, but I think it's because kids are really visible. Oddly enough, or not oddly enough, but interestingly enough, when I was doing some research on our CSA promotions this year for the community-supported agriculture programs, a lot of the 40-year-olds were using that as a way to purchase their food, sign up for there. So I thought that also gives a great opportunity for people in their 40s to supplement their local food buying at farmers markets. So farmers who are selling through CSA and also selling through farmers markets can maybe do a little bit more cross-promotion there. And then looking at the zip code distribution, 50% of the market shoppers were from the local zip code. That's the zip code of the market. Or in places like Easton, it was like 18042 and 18040. Another quarter came from other parts of Northampton County outside of the local zip code. We had 11% coming in from Lehigh County, and then 15% were coming from well beyond the region. And interestingly, this was not just at Easton Farmers Market. Some of the smaller markets, I was surprised at how many out-of-state people they had. And it was really, when I was asking them, like, oh, what brings you here? It was people visiting family members who wanted to bring their families out into the community and show them, like, what was happening around and walk the community and show it off, I guess. And then we did the customer counts. So again, with the RMA technique, this was 20-minute intervals counting all adults entering the market, multiplied by 3. This is a pretty tested technique that's very reliable. And so through the 3 counts we did throughout the season, we estimated that on average there are about 7,000 people at a Northampton County Farmers Market on any given market week. So that brings us up to this season, where again with the hotel tax grant, we are continuing this data collection, and then we're working with the markets to develop strategies to change these numbers. So each of the market managers filled out a questionnaire. We asked them to get really specific on what their market goals were, so that it wasn't just like, I'm going to advertise more, but to really see what are workable or methods that really work to bump up key demographics or increase dollars spent at the market or shopping in the downtown areas. And the goal for this is to create a best practices guide for the markets. The markets have a lot of challenges with market manager turnover or market managers that are just community volunteers who have no experience in marketing, so that we have a resource for them that with their limited amount of dollars, they can kind of reference this and start off strong. So when we think about, I'm passionate about local foods, but maybe you don't go to the farmer's market or care, which hopefully that's not the case. But in Pennsylvania, this is really important. Direct marketing farmers selling directly to the consumer is a huge business for our local farmers. The Agriculture Marketing Service did a first direct-to-consumer survey in 2015 that found Pennsylvania ranked #1 in the number of farmers who sell directly to consumers. So #1 in the nation. Like, there's a lot of agricultural states. So it's a significant source of income for our farmers. Pennsylvania ranked #3 in the amount of sales sold directly to the consumer from the farm, so just below California and New York. Again, I think, thinking about what our agricultural input or outputs are, that's a really significant place to be standing. And as the new farm bill is being debated, a lot of the money that markets could apply for from the federal government to kind of assist with their own marketing abilities has been completely eliminated. So there really is nowhere for markets to get money to help with marketing. There's no grant programs. They're all sorts of different structures. They're not, some are municipally owned, some are, just community members coming together, some are under chambers. So there's kind of this disparate group that, through Buy Fresh, Buy Local, we're really working to try to help them, use the very limited amount of money that they have in the most effective ways. And then through this project too, we're at Buy Fresh, Buy Local, we're talking a lot about agritourism over the last couple years. As farmers are looking to diversify their activities to increase revenue, they're moving toward more on-farm activities. So not only do we have agritourism draw from the farmers markets to people from out of state or other regions, but we also have this as the primary point of contact for farmers who have agritourism activities to reach people when they're at their markets. And a lot of farmers really use the farmers market to push people to their on-farm stores and other direct sales things that they're doing. So in Pennsylvania, the ag census in 2012, which is a little dated, they're doing another ag census right now, but statewide agritourism was about a $25 million industry. In Northampton County, even though the number of farms increased who were doing agritourism activities, the amount of money generated through those activities is still really, really low. And in talking to some of the farmers who are doing these activities, they just don't know where to go to promote. They don't know how to promote. So we're trying to help them with that as well. I imagine that in 2017, those numbers are going to be a lot crazier and a lot better. There are a lot more activities going on, and I think that the trend is showing that people are wanting to go to these things. And then just to round it out, and I think kind of sending home the message of agritourism, I was looking at our website analytics, just kind of looking at different statistics, and the numbers of people coming and searching for information about our local farms from outside of the region was starting to really surprise me. So I dug a little bit deeper. Philadelphia is the #3 ranked location of people searching for information on our website. It's above Easton. First is Allentown, second is Bethlehem, third is Philly, and fourth is Easton. So there are a lot of people really looking for information about what's happening at Lehigh Valley Farms. So from the beginning of year till last week, and then looking at the same period in 2017, there was almost a 60% increase in traffic coming from Philadelphia to our website. In DC, which is ranked the number 5 location of people searching for information on our site, there was a 16.5% increase compared to the same period last year. And from visitors from the New York metropolitan area, we also saw a 0.25% or 25% increase over the same period last year of people looking to use our website. And a good proportion of them are also new users who have never been on the site before. So I think that really speaks to a tremendous opportunity that we can really tap into to bolster our farms and bring people into the area. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to. Yes.
Do you know of any of the farmers that have a direct CSA pickup at these sites, or would that be counterproductive to what they do?
At the farmers markets?
Mm-hmm.
There are some that do have CSA pickup at the farmers market. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of how much do they want to take with them, or how much can they take with them? So if they have to load up boxes, CSA boxes, like how convenient is that for them, or how able are they to do that?
Is there any organic bringing people in? Is that what Philadelphia is looking for, the organic part of it? Or I've been to the Easton one and I saw some organic, but I'm just throwing that out there for some, because it seems like that's something people are looking for.
Yeah. Actually, Pennsylvania is.
But they have to be certified farms to be organic, right?
Right.
So,
So Pennsylvania is one of the top organic producing states in the nation now.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the farmers that I work with, which are smaller farmers doing direct marketing, some of them are certified organic. Some of them use organic methods. That's why we like our website, is because the farmer can spell out exactly what their growing practices are for people to educate themselves about it. My sense, or one thing that I've been thinking about, like, what are these people looking for on the website? Unfortunately, I can't see it broken down by each page.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of our food is exported to Philadelphia or to New York, to like fancy restaurants up there. So is it people who are looking for information about the farm that they were eating the food from? But then I also hear from farmers who have farm stands, because they love when New Yorkers come through and don't understand how to use an honor box, and they have to like hunt down the farmer, and they're just, so there is a lot of traffic coming through. I feel like the Lehigh Valley has always kind of been like a sort of like rural, place for people from the city to go. I had farmers taking me on tours of like hillsides where, like, in Philadelphia in the 19th century, like Philadelphians used to come up here to picnic all the time. They have like pictures from this, and so I think that there is this kind of nostalgic element of come to the Lehigh Valley because you're eating this food that's coming from here, and there's stuff to do.
Okay.
Just one follow-up. You mentioned agritourism. Have you ever cross-promoted with our Open Gate farm tour?
Yeah, so I do work with Christy Graver pretty closely on things. That's an extension project. I'm definitely happy to lend my assistance for that. We do promote it through our Facebook and our channels. Some of the farms on the tour are our partners. But I'm definitely, like, she's got a good thing going. I'm not going in to say, like, hey, let me do this. But this is the kind of stuff I think, just sharing that information of letting people come to the farms. And I should have mentioned also at the beginning, the other flyer that I handed out, so we also run the SNAP incentive program in Lehigh and Northampton County. So this is through the FINI, Food Insecurity Nutrition Incentive Grant Program from USDA. So all of the markets in Northampton County now accept food stamps in some way to provide that program for their low-income community members. And then we double their dollars for the fresh fruits and vegetables.
Sure.
Go ahead. I want to, first of all, thank you for your passion for this. This is no question. You've really dug into it. And your assessments are amazing. It's probably the best research that was funded by the DCD in a long time.
Wow, thanks.
But the fact is that I think this is the kind of thing that really makes the the Easton Farmers Market is one of the oldest, correct?
It is the oldest.
The oldest in the country.
In America, yes.
So I just think this lends itself to opening up more and more for the year. And I thank you for your work, really.
Thank you.
Yeah, when you mentioned access, a quick question. I know one of the concerns is, especially with the access and folks on limited income, they go to the market because they feel, well, if I buy fresh food, even though it's healthier and even though it would be great all the way around, there's a lack of understanding of just what is fresh food and what you can do, and that there's ideas that somehow it's expensive, it's complicated. So when some of these, and I've been to a couple, but do you have any kind of system where you could put out information on the idea of examples of cost, or that the public, that could get out into the public, examples of like the simplicity, a few examples of recipes that people could avail themselves of, even if they only had a hot plate and a sink?
Yeah, we've talked a lot to Second Harvest and their Cooking Matters program, and we've worked with them. Oh man, it's so hard because I'm, one person, and I'm definitely not a chef who can write recipes.
Well, you might want to pitch it to the farmers themselves,
right?
And their cooperatives, because I mean, it could look, everybody, the color, the most favorite color in vegetables, they say, is green, and so is money. Mm-hmm. So I would say that they may be farmers, but they like green, and this may be a way for them to see more green for their greens. So I would just throw that out there.
And the farmers are pretty good about trying to put recipes out and stuff like that. The markets try to do like a weekly recipe or something like that. In our surveying for the SNAP Incentives program, we do ask people if they felt like they knew how to use fresh food to prepare it. And overwhelmingly, people said, yeah, I know how to do this. So I think through that program, we're obviously reaching the people who want to eat fresh food, and so that's like a huge challenge, is how do we reach people who don't even look at the program because they don't know how to do that, because I don't think that's being reflected. So this year we're doing a lot of marketing, and our Finney grant was for 4 years, so we're just, the program is growing every single year, so as we just continue that outreach to more and more people, really understanding what kind of produce they want. We went to the corner stores this past year as a pilot, and each of the corner stores sourced different types of food based on what their community wanted. So kind of having that information just really opens up a whole new world of, like, don't wonder why they're not eating beets in Bethlehem. It's because they really, really want just plain tomatoes or something like that. So I think just understanding the shopping patterns and how people are consuming food really opens the door to understanding how to promote it more and help people eat healthier.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I know we have a conflict here, so I don't know which one you wanted to do first to make sure that we okay with Discover? Okay. Next is the presentation by Discover Lehigh Valley. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Sure.
Good to be here. For those of you who don't know me, I think I've met all of you. I'm Mike Stershik, and this is, where's Jim? Kim Lehigh, who's our Executive Vice President for Sales and Marketing. I'm going to be doing an overview. She's going to be getting into the marketing detail, then I'm going to be summing things up. For those of you who don't know, Discover Lehigh Valley, we've been around since 1984. We were created by the merger of 2 county-based organizations. And our mission is to promote and develop Lehigh Valley as a leisure and business travel destination. We were the region's first economic development organization. We were the first one to use the Lehigh Valley in our name. Budget's about $3 million, at least the budget for our coming fiscal year, which begins July 1, is $3 million, and about 83% of that comes from hotel tax dollars. We currently have a staff of 13 full-time people and a board of 21, which we are working to get down to 19 as we move ahead. Some numbers for you. Visitors spent about $2.2 billion in 2016, which is the last year for which we have numbers. The highest percentage in the state on recreation is spent in the Lehigh Valley. That's 28%, and that's by far. The next highest region in Pennsylvania on spending on recreation is 20%, so we're much higher. Transportation is 24%. We're the lowest of all Pennsylvania regions in that. We had the second highest growth rate in Pennsylvania for the second year in a row, 4.3% growth. And we have about 24,750 employees involved in the tourism industry in Lehigh Valley. We generate about $480 million in federal, state, and local taxes, and it's about 50% federal, 50% state and local, if you want to think of it that way. And we're going to continue to see growth into the near future. Last year, our total occupancy rate was 70.7%, which is the highest it's been since I've been tracking it, and that was 2003. And we had 1.5 million room nights sold. And in spite of 3 new hotels opening at the end of last year, we did not see an increase in room inventory, with 2 hotels being closed and some room counts being decreased. So we're still not, even after we see the Candlewood open later this summer, that's only going to be a positive of 25 rooms since we started those 4 hotels being developed. So it's kind of an interesting process. Through the 4 months of 2018 so far, that which we have data, we're still ahead of last year's numbers. So we continue to grow. What that means is, on any given night, about almost 4,200 people are staying here. That's if only one person stayed in the room. That doesn't often happen. But if we only had that, it was about 4,100 people are staying. That's a pretty good-sized borough that's staying here every night from people who are outside the area. My favorite statistic is that when we started in 1984, we were 2.46% of total visitor spending. Today, we're 5.2% of total visitor spending. So we're really pleased about the growth that's occurred. Just a couple of last things. When we did a survey a couple of years back, 59% of our visitors had been here 4 or more times in the last 2 years. 45% of them 6 or more times. 57% rated their visit 9 of 10 or higher. And 79% they'd be likely to return. All are off the chart numbers, which is really good, meaning they're having a great experience when they come here. Our favorite quotes from what people said aggregates into something like, visitors don't know what to expect when they come to Lehigh Valley, but when they discover what's here, they want to come back for more and enjoy it. So that's really what it's all about. I'm going to turn it over to Kim for a couple of minutes to talk about some of the more marketing-oriented things, and then I'll come back.
All right. Good evening. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about some of the marketing efforts that we have done and we undertake. One of the largest markets that we speak to is the leisure market, which is general consumer, people going on vacations with their families, etc. So in this market, we're really trying to target women, for the most part, household incomes of 100,000 plus, ages 25 to 54. Women are the ones that are making the decisions when it is time to plan vacations. We are talking out of market for the most part. We're DC, Philadelphia, Baltimore, DMA, Harrisburg, up to Connecticut. We're trying to talk to, obviously, travel buffs, arts and theater aficionados, family-focused, shopping, restaurants, historical sites and buildings. For March, April, just to give you a good sense of a big part of our marketing dollars.
Excuse
went
me,
to our,
I'm sorry. What did DMA stand for on the previous?
demographic market area.
Thank you.
Right. So a big portion of our budget went to Google. Google obviously is God, huge in search and display advertising here. Just for March and April alone, our campaign bought us 1.89 million impressions on Google. And again, we were really targeting that ages 25 to 54. They were most engaged with our ads, and that's just a sample of one of the ads that we've done. For print, if we can get a good buy in print, we'll do it. Otherwise, we pretty much stick away from print. The National, which is Amtrak's publication, happened to be a really great buy for us. We had a half-page ad. We focused on our Lift Your Spirits campaign. So this was running on the Amtrak trains during the months of April and May. Outbrain is another source that we use. It's an online source. This brought us onto big sites that we could never afford to advertise on specifically. So here, some of the top sites that we hit were CNN and New York Post. Again, it's a digital display ad that we were focused on here. Social media is obviously a big factor for us. Right now on Facebook, we're approaching 123,000 likes. And we continue to grow, as you can see the chart there. Some samples of our ads are shown here. In our March and April campaign, we had 2.69 million impressions throughout Facebook, and we had about 27,000 unique clicks on it. Instagram is another social media account that we're pretty active on. Here we're seeing almost 21,000 followers on Instagram, and we're continuing to go up. Here we promote our hashtag #LiftYourSpiritsDLV. And again, that usage is continuing to go up. So people are tagging their images with Lift Your Spirits DLV. People are sharing what they're actually doing and experiencing while they're out in Lehigh Valley. There's just a copy or a photo actually of one of the Instagram posts that we have put up. For April, 1,267 likes on when the big red ball came into town.
That was a hotel tax grant last April.
It was big, right? Twitter's another pretty active account for us. We're approaching almost 52,000 followers on Twitter. One of our best performing tweets for the month of March was on Martin Guitar. And not as highly engaged on Twitter for us as we are on Instagram and Facebook, but it's still a pretty wide reach, and we are growing our numbers there as well. YouTube's video is huge. We put a pretty significant amount of dollars toward our video buys. We have multiple series that we do. The Lift Your Spirits series is one. If we have some time at the end, I do have one of our Lift Your Spirits videos that we can show you. Again, we're trending up there, and we'll continue to produce these videos on a year-round basis. E-newsletters, throughout all of our advertising, we're trying to push people to sign up for our e-newsletters. On Facebook, we're probably getting around 2,000 to 3,000 people to sign up for our leisure newsletter, which is produced once a month. We also speak to the meetings market and the group tour market and our partners on a regular basis through e-newsletters. So those numbers climb a little bit slower than the others, but it's still a pretty significant reach that we have in the leisure market. PR, media relations, we do work with an agency to help us with pitching to the markets basically that I discussed earlier, Philadelphia, Harrisburg, Scranton, DC, Baltimore, New York, and on a national level. So it's kind of great to hear Buy Fresh, Buy Local with some of the markets that they're seeing, reaching out. Some of the big placements that we had, one of my favorites is Nat Geo Traveler. We were speaking to a writer there, and they had a nice article on Lehigh Valley, Long Island Pulse, some local stuff, and then we also talked to some of the niche markets, the meetings market and the group tour market. Our website is huge. We launched a new site at the end of May 2017. It is a fully responsive website across all devices. That was something new for us when we launched. Prior to it, it was not. We're doing close to 70,000 sessions a month on our site, and that trend is going up, and our bounce rate is going down, which is even better. We're producing really some great content on our website. The devices, mobile is huge. It is king. Yeah, 73.3% are coming from mobile traffic. So it's imperative that we stay up on making sure that is fully responsive and acting the way it should be. Almost 83% are new visitors that are coming to our site. So again, that's something that's really fantastic. You know, getting new eyeballs to it and getting people to look at all the experiences that they can do while they're on the site. Our traffic sources, organic's pretty big, but that other category and social kind of mirror each other. So that other category is a lot of social media combined. So that's almost 43%. Around 43%, and then our organic traffic is next in line at almost 32%. A new market for us this year is the international market. We are tapping into, or trying to tap into that a little bit based on the UNESCO World Heritage tentative status in Bethlehem. So we're diving in with the state on some co-ops. Brand USA puts out a publication, and they did a cooperative buy into their Visit the USA guide. So we have some road trips in there on family, history, arts and culture, and outdoors. We were focusing on Martin Guitar, Crayola, and the DNL Corridor, and historic Bethlehem. We also did a trip to Germany with the state. Here we met with some FIT operators, foreign independent travel operators. They went on 6 sales calls. They met with 45 agents. They talked to 72 consumers that are booking trips abroad, and they talked to 17 travel agents while they were there. We also, for the first time with U.S. Travel, attended IPW, which is a huge marketplace with 1,300 travel buyers, over 1,000 travel organizations, and 500 journalists. This was a pretty successful trip. This was just a couple weeks ago, actually. It's an appointment-based show. Out of all the appointments that we had with media, they have all actually already reached out to us and are interested in coming to Lehigh Valley. So we are very ecstatic with that. In the sports market for 2017, this is one of a pretty large market for Lehigh Valley, people bringing their sporting tournaments and organized events here. We had 39 events that we helped host, bringing 2,250 teams. More than 43,000 athletes, and thousands more coaches, parents, and families that attended with them. In the meetings market, we're pretty heavy with Meeting Planners International, MPI, so we attend their events on pretty much a monthly basis, and we're working to talk with those meeting planners, trying to get them here on FAM tours, familiarization tours, so bringing them here on our turf and our soil. And then going out and wining and dining them in other locations. This was at an out-of-market event that we did in New Jersey at the DuPortai House. So we're trying to have small, upscale events. We invite our partners to come and join in with us on these events, and we're really just wining and dining these meeting planners and trying to get them to come into our area to experience it. FAM tours locally here. This was just a picture from their event at Sands, again, wining and dining them and getting them to explore the region. We'll also take them to Iron Pigs games and host them in suites or phantoms. The group tour market, this is the smallest market that we put any dollars toward, really. We belong to some of the main organizations, Pennsylvania Bus Association, American Bus Association, National Tour Association, etc. And here we're really trying to hit them through their trade shows that they have on a regular basis, and we communicate with them through e-newsletters. And I think that turns it back over to you.
A couple of points I wanted to follow up on from Kim. One is that women make 90% of the travel decisions. So basically, as a guy who's been married almost 43 years, get in the car and shut up and drive. That's basically the bottom line.
Don't ask for directions.
And ask for directions, yeah. And the second thing is the UNESCO World Heritage designation is something that we've been involved with the city of Bethlehem. That's a huge deal for international travelers. U.S. travelers don't pay attention to that nearly as much as international travelers do. And that's why it's important that every time we have an opportunity to tell that story with an international marketplace. We tried to, because that's extremely important. And it's even valuable to us even before we get the designation. Having been a finalist on the list is very important for us, and we need to tell that as well. So I'm going to cover a little bit about tourism and economic development. Some of you may have heard this already, but it bears repeating. Tourism is the first date for investors coming into a market. Most, the bottom line is most people don't invest in a market where they haven't visited. And that's an extremely important premise. The second premise is that the experience that investors have in a community in which they're considering making an investment has an impact on that decision. If they are treated poorly when they come here, they're not coming back. So it's up to the folks in our industry to treat them well. Most of the time when Don Cunningham's wining and dining a client, he's taking them out to one of the better restaurants. If they don't have a good experience there, and it's one of the better restaurants, what do they think? So it's important that they get that great experience. And our visitors are saying that they're having a good experience when they come here. So we're confident that we're doing a good job. As visitor numbers increase, so does the overall visibility and awareness of the area. Provide just more eyeballs, lets more people know about what Lehigh Valley is all about, and show what a great area this is to make an investment. And last, as visitor numbers increase, so does the chance that a potential investor will see an opportunity here. Not everybody that comes here is a minimum wage worker. We're targeting $100,000 plus households. Business owners are coming here to go to Music Fest. They're coming to go to Crayola. They're coming for any number of reasons. So make sure that we're putting our best foot forward every time and providing them that opportunity. And that means that they'll have the opportunity to invest. And last, I'm going to repeat something that my colleague from Irving, Texas said when she became the head of our international association. If you build a place where people want to visit, you'll build a place where people want to live. If you build a place where people want to live, you'll build a place where people want to work. If you build a place where people want to work, you'll build a place where business has to be. And if you build a place where business has to be, you'll build a place where people want to visit. And I think that sums it up incredibly, especially in today's environment, because businesses are locating where employees are. And it's the quality of life of that area that dictates whether those employees are going to be there or not. And we're the ones that are marketing the quality of life on behalf of Lehigh Valley. So with that, I think, do we have 2 minutes to show a video?
Can you give me the link and I'll happily email it to them because I know we need to.
And it's on his computer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's here.
Okay.
Any questions? Sure.
Great job. Good stuff.
I know you want a little break, so very, very quickly, I'm just passing around. These are our community development block grant project recommendations. It's a little hard to read, so if you have any questions, I know, let me know, and I'm happy to email it to you, and you can print out as large as you'd like. Yeah, okay. Basically, this is a big year for 2019 for us. Keep in mind, this is all federal dollars, so we don't have to worry about any of these projects coming out of our county funds. In short, it amounts to $1.6 million and 27 projects, and this is going to hit 6 of our most vulnerable municipalities within the county. So we're really excited about the opportunity to do this, and it's the most money that we've been able to accumulate through HUD in a long time. So, yeah. So if you have any immediate questions, I'm happy to try to answer them for you. If not, please reach out to me individually, and we can have discussion. Executive McClure has obviously reviewed this in advance, and he supports our recommendation. So, Go ahead.
Any questions? Oh,
Just one, and I'm not, it's a point of, we can discuss it. The Miracle
Mm-hmm.
League's in here, correct?
Yes.
Did we say we were gonna do something outside? Yeah,
Yeah,
supposed to be like a yearly.
Supposed to be a line item in
Is
the
that
budget.
like a line item? Did we talk about that?
From what I understand, it was previously in hotel tax,
Yeah.
and it didn't fit in there because it's not promoting tourism. And because of the community and the children that it serves, we're able to build it into this instead of our own budget.
yeah, they're going to email it. Yeah.
Either way, as long as we get.
They actually came to us with a request of 15,000, and we're able to give them 20. So.
Yeah, just as I squint and read through this,
Ben
it appears that the borough of Penargil is, this is a huge windfall. Could you maybe describe that project, what it is and what
It's public infrastructure, and Penargil did not receive any funding last year. So we wanted to.
Could you be more specific besides just?
It's an ongoing project. I believe that it's been done over a couple of years. It's improvements to Lobb Avenue in the borough, and again, they didn't receive any funding in 2017. I believe we may have some photo descriptions, exactly what they're doing back at the office that I can send to you as well.
That would be nice, because
Sure.
it's $559,000. That's.
No, that's the request.
That's the-
Oh, that's the request.
Yeah, they're getting 100.
Hold it farther away, you'll see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, no, the
Oh, all right.
requests
It's
are
hard to
in
read the
white
green.
and the recommendations in green.
If you hold it up to the
Yeah,
light,
no.
read the green, okay?
Yeah, 159.
159 is what.
Okay.
That has the youngest size.
159.
Thank you, Matt.
We'll email you a larger print version.
You're going to email this out to everybody?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Any other questions?
Yeah, there's
for
one
what you-
here.
I have
Yes,
a question.
please.
The Northampton County Office of Aging, a senior center warming and cooling station and accessible restrooms. I see you asked for $75,000, and you're saying, is that 20 or 21?
No, it's 25.
25. Is there a, could you give me the reason? I'm just curious.
I'm looking for it on here.
Fourth, yeah, it's the fourth one down,
Well, I'm looking.
public infrastructure.
Sixth one down.
I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can with these glasses. Yes, yes, yes. Well, I'm curious. They've requested 75,000. I'm just wondering if we gave them time. I mean, I'm just curious. It sounds like something we would like to do.
Yeah, and we
it's a
can-
hit, and from what they asked. I'm just
That's what
curious.
we're thinking the cost is going to be,
Oh.
because we're relocating the senior center in Bath.
All right.
And the host church facility does not have ADA-compliant restrooms or proper
So it's
cooling
the
unit.
senior center folks are asking
Yes.
for that, and okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thanks.
And on the bottom, where it says planning, and there's blanks, does that mean you haven't received the proposals yet, or?
No, it means that we were not recommending any of that money to be allocated into those specific projects. The Slate Belt Multi-Municipal Plan and Nazareth Multi-Municipal Plan, we're hoping to still get state funding, and working with Lehigh Valley Planning Commission. Representative from the state was just at the Planning Commission last week, and the room was full of attendees from both the Nazareth and Slate Belt COGs, so we're waiting to see what kind of input the state is going to allocate towards those planning.
Council has already appropriated nearly $60,000 for both plans. Have we released that yet? I don't think we have, because we're waiting to hear what the state has to say.
Yeah, there's still a big budget gap, so.
And what about
So
the
state
Saucon?
needs to do their part.
Right.
What about the Saucon Valley Partnership?
No. But we can, like I said.
Could we
this is
discuss
all-
that?
Yeah. Based on suggestions.
Sure.
Sorry. Thanks. Is there going to be, are we reviewing, is there a committee to review before? No?
No,
This is it?
this is it.
Okay, thank you.
Unless, you know. we-
No, I just was curious.
We're open to obvious, suggestions, recommendations.
I want to
We're
thank
gonna
you for
look
all the work you did narrowing this down to what you did. We really appreciate it because we've seen, I think, Bob, you were on a committee one year, right? The stacks and stacks. And one year we got handed a book this big for grants.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Yeah, and it was done in 2 days.
Yeah.
it was-
So thank you so much for all the work
Sure.
you did.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. I'll send it to you extra large print, yes, I promise. And then is it appropriate to ask for council to put this on next month's agenda to pass a resolution for acceptance?
Yeah, we can do that if everybody's in favor of that, sure.
After we read it,
Yes, of course.
after you get a chance to look at it, yeah.
And then if
Yeah.
you have any questions, I guess then at the next
Yes,
meeting
reach
we'll
out to me directly and I can
Okay.
have a discussion, sure.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else, anything else? Then we're going to adjourn.
Wow. I can't look at that.